Welcome back. In the first video, we established that food gives us energy, nutrients, and calories matter, as well as protein, carbs, and fats all have jobs. Exciting, I know. But knowing that carbohydrates exist doesn't answer the much more important question of, what am I supposed to put on my plate? That's what we're going to solve today. We're going to do it without a food scale, calculator, measuring cups, or carrying a small laboratory around with you. Conveniently for us, you already brought your measuring equipment today, your hands. We're going to start with a very simple meal. For most people, most of the time, what you want to do is you want to be able to look at a meal and identify four things: protein, produce, carbs, and fats. That's our starting point. Not every meal has to contain exactly the same thing. This isn't a legally binding contract with your dinner. It's a simple framework that makes producing and building a reasonable meal much more simple. We're going to use your hands to estimate portions. For protein, we're going to use the palm of your hand, all right? A simple starting portion is roughly the size of your palm. Look at the width, thickness of your palm, not just your fingers. We could use this for chicken, fish, pork, beef, eggs, Greek yogurt, cheese, any protein source. Your hand is useful because it's proportional to you. A 6'4" person and a 5'2" person probably shouldn't automatically get the same portions of everything. Fortunately, they probably also don't have the same hand size either. A palm measurement, is it perfectly precise? Nope. But neither was your grandma pouring pasta into a bowl until somebody told her to stop. We're estimating. For somebody learning about how to eat better, a useful estimate is much more valuable and sustainable than trying to measure every single gram of food. So when you look at your meal, first question should simply be, where's my protein? Next, for produce, use your fist. Let's kind of look at how that is on your plate. For vegetables, the simplest starting point is approximately one fist-size portion. Depending upon the meal, you may have more. Fruit can also be part of your diet. We're looking for a variety over time rather than simply trying to create the perfect vegetable combination at every meal. Broccoli today, carrots tomorrow, salad with dinner, fruit with breakfast. You don't need 12 different vegetables arranged according to the phase of the moon. Just regularly eat plants. Produce gives us useful things like fiber, vitamins, mineral, water, and food volume. The food volume could be especially useful when you're trying to manage hunger while reducing the amount of energy or calories you take in. For carbs, use a cup hand. Carbs are a little bit more dense. Approximately one cupped handful is a great starting point. Think rice, pasta, potatoes, oats, cereal, beans, stuff like that. Again, this is just a starting point. Someone who is very active may eventually need more. Someone trying to reduce their overall calorie intake might eventually need less. We're talking about making those adjustments in the fourth video. For now, we're just learning how to build a meal before we start modifying it. One cupped hand gives you a repeatable reference point without having you ask, what exactly is 137 grams of rice? Civilization will continue. For fat, use your thumb. Primary is just a simple starting point and approximately the size of your thumb. Think oils, nut butter, dressing, similar concentrated sources of fat. Some foods already contain a significant amount of fat, like cheese, nuts, avocado, and fattier cuts of meat, and whole eggs are just some examples. You don't have to necessarily need to add separate fats to every meal. Remember, the first video, fat contains a relatively high amount of energy for a small amount of food. That's why this category can grow quietly. A little oil in the pan, a little dressing, some cheese, a handful of nuts while cooking, peanut butter straight from the jar because apparently we're no longer governed by laws. Individually, none of those things are a problem, but portions add up. The fourth piece together, putting all these pieces together, now we can actually make a meal. Let's start. Dinner is chicken, rice, and vegetables. we have approximately a palm of chicken, a fist of vegetables, a cupped hand of rice, and perhaps a thumb-sized portion of fat that's added on. That's it. You just built a reasonable starting meal. Let's do another one. Maybe breakfast is eggs, oatmeals, and berries. Eggs provide protein and some fats. The oatmeal gives us our carbs and fiber. The berries give us the fruit. Maybe we add Greek yogurt if we need a little extra protein. Again, we're not trying to make the meal perfect. We're trying to make it better and repeatable. Don't replace your entire diet. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make when they decide to eat healthy. Monday morning arrives and suddenly every food they've ever eaten for the last 12 years has been banished. The refrigerator is full of foods they don't particularly like. By Thursday, they're miserable. By Saturday, they're eating directly over the kitchen sink, wondering where everything went wrong. Instead, start with what you already eat. Then ask, how can I improve this meal? Maybe you normally eat a huge bowl of pasta. You don't have to give that up all away or pasta altogether. Try a slightly or smaller portion and add a palm-sized source of protein and some vegetables. Maybe you normally get a burger and a large order of fries. You could keep the burger, but get small fries. Add something with more produce or fiber somewhere else in the meal. Maybe breakfast is mostly cereal. You can keep some cereal, but add some Greek yogurt, some eggs, another source of protein on the side, maybe some fruit. We're not trying to always replace. Sometimes we're just adding something useful. Sometimes we're substituting something out. Sometimes we're simply changing the amount. Those small changes become much easier to maintain than rebuilding your entire life starting Monday morning. What about snacks? Snacks aren't mandatory. They're also not forbidden. They're simply another opportunity to eat. If you're hungry between meals, a useful snack often combines things that provide protein with something containing fiber or some produce. Greek yogurt and fruit, cottage cheese and fruit, a small portion of nuts with something else. There are plenty of options. The most important distinction is whether you're intentionally having a snack or simply eating food because it happens to be within arm's reach. A few bites while cooking, something from the office break room, a handful of this, a handful of that. Then mysterious disappearances of half a bag of chips. Those calories still count, even if you never officially declared them on your meal. Hunger and fullness do matter. Another useful skill is learning to notice hunger and fullness. You don't need to elaborate necessarily on a systematized approach. Before you eat, just ask yourself, am I actually hungry? Sometimes the answer is yes. Cool, eat. Sometimes we're eating because we're bored, stressed, watching TV, celebrating, hanging out with friends, or because somebody put food in front of us. That doesn't mean you can never eat for those reasons. Food is part of our culture and enjoyment. We are human after all. We simply want to recognize what's happening. And while you're eating, slow down enough to give yourself an opportunity to notice when you're becoming full. You don't always have to stop eating the second you're no longer hungry, but you also don't need to continue every meal using special equipment. All right? Eat, enjoy, notice how you feel. That's a skill, and skills improve with practice. What should you drink? Water is a great default. Coffee, tea, those can also work. Low calorie, 0 calorie beverages can also be useful tools for some people. What I want you to recognize is that drinks can contain calories too. Soda, juice, sweetened drinks, coffees, alcohol, and other beverages can add significant energy without really making you feel full like solid foods do. You don't have to get rid of every single beverage that contains calories. Just remember, drinks count. Your stomach doesn't issue a tax exemption because something arrived through a straw. Keep this simple. Here's your assignment from this video. Don't change everything tomorrow. For your next few meals, simply look at what you're eating and try to identify, where's my protein? Where's my produce? Where's my carbs? Where's my fats? Then use your hands to get a rough idea of how much of those you're eating. Palm, fist, cupped hand, thumb. That's your starting framework. Later, if your results tell us those proportions need to change, then we'll change them. But first, we need consistency, because you can't intelligently adjust something you're doing differently every single day. And remember, your hands are measuring tools, not handcuffs. All right? Some meals will be bigger, some will be smaller, some won't fit the model well at all. That's okay. That's normal, because unfortunately, eventually, you're going to leave your kitchen. There will be restaurants, there's going to be holidays, birthdays, there's going to be family members attempting to feed you all through the winter. So in this next video, we're going to learn how to handle all of that. For now, we're going to get right into something completely edible.